So here's the thing. I'm going to tell you a story. The story of a little boy and his experience with high school. For him, high school took place during the ages 12 and 18, with 4 mandatory years and 2 optional years that prepare students for an exam that will basically decide their future. Like a roller coaster, there were a lot of highs and a lot of lows, but a lot was learned along the way, and I think that makes it worth talking about today. At first, high school feels like uncharted territories with lots of mysteries and uncertainties. It's the start of a new era, and not only did our boy have to deal with braces and puberty, he also had to just try and fit in. His best friend had to go to another high school that was closer to his home, while the friendships that were younger than him still had to finish primary school, that were ages 6 to 12. He found himself with friendly classmates, some brand new faces, but also familiar ones from primary school, so in the end the transition wasn't really all that bad, right? While he inevitably saw grades that were a downgrade compared to his performance in primary school, the first half of year 1 was nothing but a blur in comparison to what happened on that fateful day of 2020. We don't know what happened, and it was certainly strange, but it somehow benefited the boy. First of all, while he had to do school in-house now, because of the situation, he and everyone was able to pass the first year of high school with little to no effort. No one is going to complain about something like that, but this also meant that his skill didn't really increase. Our boy kept watching YouTube and playing video games for the following months, and was even able to hang out with his best friend when the lockdown started to soften itself, which proved to be a solid replacement of the sleepovers they used to do. The last one being early that year after watching a cool and speedy movie. And still, things start to get better from here. With all the mistakes learned from last year, year 2 went more smooth sailing for our boy. It even felt perfect at times. He made good friends, stuck to the younger ones from primary school who got to high school, and his grades were very impressive, which were probably related to really good teachers he got that year. He wanted to keep going, so his dream of creating video games could become a reality. Speaking of, things he saw online were generally mind-blowing and only made the year better for him. He really felt like he was at the top of the world, like nothing could possibly stop him. But like they say, what goes up must come down, and the little man was about to get his ego taken down a notch. Shut up! Can you guys please just shut up? You're making everything worse for us. God, this teacher is the worst. There's nothing wrong with some of the teachers. Our classmates just make things worse for them as well. Nothing seems to work. Why are my grades so much worse than last year? I was killing it back then. Now there's something wrong with me. I know I can fix this, but I don't know how I can do it. Things were so easy when I only had to worry about beating the level in a video game. Things weren't looking so good for our boy. He had a really nasty drop to the floor. But that wouldn't stop him from giving up, and neither would his parents, who could see that a little guy could go places if he focused on the right things. A lesson he was far from fully learning. But it was just enough for him to keep going, even if he needed assistance for his exams. But hey, nothing wrong with asking for help. The victory of passing the 3rd year, while refreshing, also felt bittersweet. He knew he didn't give it his all, stated by his average grades. He had every right to relax during the summer, but deep down he knew he had to make a difference, hoping that the next year would be more merciful to him. So, we head on to the second half of this story. The growing boy still had trouble keeping up with everyone, but it was much more bearable than before, part of it due to the roster of teachers the boy had this time. He was even able to allow himself to have a bit of fun. More friendships were made this year, and new grounds were traveled thanks to opportunities handed to him in the past. While the 4th year wasn't super remarkable for any particular reason, it was okay. It showed how much the boy had been growing since year 1. He was no longer a kid, fearful of an era that comes with a lot of changes, as he slowly evolved into a young man. Though a little doubtful, he was ready to move on with all he accomplished so far. The first extra year proved itself to be more difficult at times, almost to the point of breaking, but a boy has never failed to beat the odds, no matter the likelihood. And just like last time, there were fun to be had. The new hobbies he tried last year were very entertaining. Almost all of his friendships were collected in the same room, and he started to feel more connected to his class sometimes. He even went outside to eat with them once the year was over. But it was there when the young man came to a realization. The journey was going to come to an end pretty soon. You know how this type of situation makes you feel? One part of you wants the journey to end already, but the other feels how bitter it is when the journey does eventually end. However, both sides feel the same objective. Despite the bittersweetness the boy was feeling, he already knew he had to bring out his best for the 6th and last year of high school so he could achieve his hopes and dreams. The final stretch is at hand, with new faces brought to a table and all the lessons taught all this time. The young man had to prepare himself to confront his hardest and most terrifying obstacle, the college application exams. Everything was leading to what would dictate his fate if he had the proper skill for it. When he started, while the boy kept struggling at times, he was able to recover from the bumps. But he noticed this pattern since the 3rd year, and he was getting sick of it. He was not going to let it ruin his run, but at some point in the road, there were too many bumps for the young man to handle, and he fell to the ground, as everything else did. He always had moments of self-doubt, but this particular fall really got to him. Suddenly, nothing mattered to him. He wanted to give up, disappear, vanish from existence. There was no way he could recover from that. Just like that, the boy's hopes and dreams were seemingly gone, and that would have been the case if he didn't have people that could pick him up from the ground. Family, friends, acquaintances, personal goals, all were crucial in bringing out the boy's spirit. He could make a comeback, just like he always did. This was no different than those other times of struggle. When the boy regained his composure, he knew exactly what to do. He realized that those hobbies he loved were nothing but pesky distractions that had to be dialed down hard. Nothing, absolutely nothing, was going to hold him back anymore. And during the remainder of the year, improvement was immediately shown. He could reach the immense potential everyone saw in him. Marks were considerably high, rivaling the best performing classmates. The young man felt proud of himself after making such a comeback. And when the school year came to a close and everyone celebrated by partying all night, he looked at all he was being surrounded by, realizing that this moment was one of the last times he would see not only his classmates, but his teachers as well. And while he didn't outright say it, he hoped for a good future for them, as the boy mentally prepared for his biggest challenge yet. Suddenly, the final climax of the story was rapidly approaching. Naturally, a lot of rapid emotions were coming through for any student out there. This moment would define their lives. The young boy had doubt and fear like always, but he was not going to give up at this point. He walked into the room with determination, because he knew he could do this no matter what. After all was said and done, it took a couple of days for the results to be sent over. But when they did, the young man saw. That he did. He passed the test. It could have been better in some subjects, and there was definitely some foul play that couldn't be fixed. But all that mattered to him was the fact that he did it. The journey was long and tedious, but it was also here where he made some of his fondest memories. Memories that defined what was once a confused young boy into a determined man. And this man has something to say. High school gets incredibly rough, and can make even the strongest doubt themselves. But it also makes you rougher, smarter, and stronger than you were before. Getting to the end is a big accomplishment for everyone to see, and that evolution is truly beautiful experience. There's more obstacles in the way, but you have a solid foundation here that will give you the strength to overcome it. You got this.